How's it going, guys? The long-awaited Broken Arrow update 1.09 has just released about 30 minutes before I'm making this video. Obviously, it'll take more time for the video to get rendered and whatnot, and we will be covering the patch notes in the usual painstaking detail. So let's get started. Update 1.0.9. It's different to this. We are releasing a new update 1.0.9. As mentioned last week, it is primarily a balance patch. You can find all changes below in the changelog and were decided after analyzing feedback and metrics. Okay. On top of this, new PvE scenarios and main menu tab have been added, as well as an improved lobby creation menu. Native English-speaking publisher, by the way. Slytherin's based in London. I don't know what they're teaching the kids down there. Finally, in terms of highlights, it contains improvements to the localization in Chinese. A big thank you to the players who reported these issues. What are we working on? Work on the following areas will continue as per last week's post. Server stability, anti-cheat system, balance, surrender option, and punishment for leavers. So does that mean that we don't have punishment for leavers or a surrender option this time? Because it says work on the following areas will continue. Which implies that, well, okay, I guess we'll just keep reading the patch notes and see what it kicks out. Our commitment to improving the game will never wane, and we welcome all the feedback that you can give us. Update 1.0.9 full changelog. Added restart mission option in the escape menu where applicable. So that's for single player guys. You can't save the game, but you can now restart the game without quitting it and entering it again. So I suppose it's a step in the right direction. Added new lobby creation menu, better highlighting the different types of lobby. So yeah, we spoke about this in the patch preview video. Basically, when you're making a lobby, you can set it to skirmish or set it to multiplayer. Added new PvE 1 to 3 player scenarios, Narva, River, and Ignalia. So basically, there's like these, they call them like wave defense or tower defense modes. And I believe they've made some more of those for these maps. Added new design for scenarios tab, available in main menu. Okay. Added an opportunity to select any player and check his losses/kills history in the history tab on the post-match screen. So that's good. Basically, when the game ends, you can check your own kills and losses, but you can't check other people. You couldn't check other people's kills and losses to flame your teammates for, you know, how many units they lost to that nuke, or check how many units the enemy killed across your team with the nuke. Because before you could only check how many of your units he'd killed, whereas now you can see total units, so that's a nice feature. Added new weapons icons for player profile customization that can be unlocked beyond level 73. So basically, the way it works is you've got your profile picture here, which isn't the Steam one, it's like one in game. Then you've got sort of a rectangle around that, and it will say, you know, Hippie, Elo 9000, whatever. And then, you know, this will be like a funky color, and it will have like a gun on it if you want it to have a gun on it. And apparently they've added new guns, so who knows if this particular gun, the flintlock pistol, will be will be allowed, right? But yeah, it's obviously, you know, I don't really care about this at all. If you want to play dress up like a little girl, you know, more power to you, right? You want to try on all those new clothes and whatnot, that's fine. I am male. So, added different map ambience, night, day, morning. In standard game mode, this setting is random, while in custom lobby, player can change it manually in additional options menu. This is painful to read. They are an English publisher. Why is it written like this? Anyway, so that's cool. So basically, you can play the same maps, but it'll be nighttime. And you can play the same maps and it'll be daytime. Just a little bit of flavor, a way to make the same maps go further, because there are a few maps that are dark all the time, or were, and now we will see the same maps at daytime and vice versa. So that could be interesting. It's like purely cosmetic. It's just it is, you're a human being. When you see cool new things, it is cool and a new thing. Profile background textures reorganized. Okay, 3 textures are unlocked every time you reach the maximum of a rank. So every 5 XP levels. So it's just more of this stuff because like you can have it in like purple or whatever. Not that, like the background. Yeah. General fixes and improvements. Disconnected player won't get any income until his reconnection. So this was an absolutely huge exploit, which I covered on the channel, and would you believe it, the publisher actually asked me to take that video down, if you can believe it. And if we just go down to here, so I got an email from them saying, hey, could you take this down? And I said no. Basically, these guys have been abusing this since like the first open beta over a year ago. And I made the video and then it got fixed. So, I get a lot of people saying, oh, Hippie's just chasing clout and whatnot. If you make it so obvious that they have to fix it, then they fix it. It works the same in every game. So I did my part, right? Additional tuning for matchmaking. Game should wait a bit more for a better elo-wise opponents. So this is great. This is related to another video I made. Obviously, I'm not the only one calling these things out. But I made a video called Why I Can't Recommend Broken Arrow, and a big part of it, obviously the hackers and whatnot, a big part of it was like, I just said, these are the last 10 games I played, and I'm still trying to find it. They'll be linked in the description if you want to watch it. Right, so I said, these are the last 10 games I played. They're all on stream, links to every game. And like 8 out of 10 of them were stomps. And 2 of them, one of the stomps was like fundamentally bugged. So even though we won the game, it didn't end. And we just had to all leave. And then the 2 remaining games, there were hackers on the enemy team and they beat us. Oh no, I think there was 1 game where it worked properly. So 7 out of 10 games were stomps. 1 was an actually balanced game, and 2, the enemy team had hackers. So I guess they stomped us. So you could count it as a stomp, but they were hacking, right? And in one of the games that was stomps, we did actually lose. Like, we got stomped. So basically, you press search, and before now, I suppose, it would just immediately try and match you. Because, all the ADHD gamers play in this game. And then you would just have an imbalanced game rather than waiting a couple of minutes to have a game which is actually worth playing. So this is a really great change. This is a really great change. And it's interesting to note that they've put those as the top 2. And so, look, I always have this conversation with people. This strategy works. If you have a problem, you should complain about it. These fanboys going around in the Broken Arrow Discord telling everybody, oh, they'll fix it, they'll fix it. They'll fix it if you complain about it. Fix some customization frames, unlock conditions. Okay, so that's more of the playing dress up like a 7-year-old girl. Anti-cheat won't mark you as a cheater in campaign mode anymore. So basically there's like a Chinese third-party program called something like WeMod, and you load up WeMod and then you can load up legal cheats and improve the Chinese translation of the game. But in the same program you can just download an aimbot and, well, not an aimbot, it's not a first-person shooter, but you can just download infinite income or whatever, download more RAM. And so there was a lot of Chinese guys complaining about this, that they're like, I'm using it fairly, why am I getting banned? You can come to your own conclusions as to that. I think a lot of them are just people saying, I didn't do nothing wrong, even though they did. But I'm sure it does matter for some people. So yeah, you can cheat in campaign if you want. Fix some edge cases, preventing the reconnect button from appearing. So in the last patch, they said we've fixed some cases preventing the reconnect button from appearing. And apparently it wasn't fully fixed. That is a consistent problem with this game. They constantly say we fixed X, and then it's still in the game. So you got to take all these patch notes with a pinch of salt, because like this has been fixed several times now. So let's see if it's actually fixed this time. Fixed an issue when units quantity in shop UI was out of sync after reconnect. That's crazy. So that is also a video It's also something I did a video. Wow, I've saved Broken Arrow. I've saved Broken Arrow. Sadly, it's a thankless job. You just get loads of people saying, oh, but they fixed it anyway. They fixed it because we made it impossible for them to not fix it. Nuke. That's this one. So basically, in the video, I just leave and rejoin, leave and rejoin, leave and rejoin, and I just get a nuke back every couple of minutes. So I'm just nuking every 2 minutes. If the plane dies, it doesn't work. But I assume now it just doesn't work at all, which is great. Skirmish AI now can properly capture supply dumps. Okay. We've had a lot of complaints about skirmish mode. I don't play it. But basically the AI just sort of beelines towards you. It knows exactly where you are all the time, and it's just apparently very boring. It doesn't do any reconning or anything. It just spawns units and blobs them straight towards wherever your units are. Fixed an issue in skirmish mode where only the host could see the radar status of AI's units. Okay, so you couldn't tell if the AI's Patriot had its radar on or whatever. Cancelled multiplayer matches no longer affects win-to-loss ratio. I really do wish they'd proofread this, but this is a nice feature. So I had like a 90% win rate, and then a few guys like dropped as soon as they saw us, or it might have been a bug. You know, I don't know if it was on purpose, and it said match cancelled, and then our win rate went down, even though it said the match wasn't counted. So that was a bit dumb. Obviously, for most people, it probably doesn't matter, but for the guys near the top of the leaderboard, which I used to be, I'm not anymore because I stopped playing. They care about this a lot. Supply labels are now always displayed under units labels. Okay, so basically, if you have, you know, my drawing ability isn't great, but let's say that this is the map. Like this is your screen, and like there's some forest here, and whatever. You know, there's some roads over here. There's some buildings up here. Whatever. It's just to. Yeah, cool. Wow. And you've got the supply in the forest. Sometimes, depending on how the units were orientated, the supply icon, it looks like that, right? No, it's not quite like that. It's like that. And it's got like a box on it. It's got like several boxes, but you know, who's got time for that? It would appear above your T15 Barbaris, and you'd be like, oh no, I can't micro my T15 Barbaris. That means it's not OP, and so you know now it'll be the other way around. So now the unit will always be on top, so you'll always be able to click your T15 Barbaris, not T14 Barbaris. Whoopsie daisy. We're gonna have to edit that part out. Various improvements to the report players window. So this was a problem in the last patch they said they fixed, where you couldn't report people properly because the thing was broken. So apparently this is related to that, I suppose. Fixed an issue with missiles being stuck in the air. Yeah, so there's a few things where like it happens for like planes and all sorts, where like a plane will just get destroyed or a missile will get intercepted or whatever, and you'll zoom in and it'll just be there for the rest of the game, flashing away and making a sound. And that has been a problem since, you know, the first open beta over a year ago. So I guess they've fixed that, maybe. We'll see if they fix it again in the next patch. Fixed MLRS and RT traces and VFX is not showing in some cases. So I think I had this a couple times, and I couldn't tell if the guy was cheating or not. Sometimes you can't see the traces, like you can't see the missile coming in, and your stuff just starts exploding, and you're like, well, what the hell's going on? Adjusted napalm and incendiary areas position sync, especially when they hit buildings and other obstacles. So there's a lot of desynchronization in this game, and I assume that's what they mean by position sync. So on player A, the napalm will be in one place, and on player B's computer, the napalm will be in another place. And I guess they've fixed that. Or it might just be something to do with... Well, I don't know what else that could possibly mean, frankly. Fixed B1B's wing trails staying on the same position when the wings are folded. So that's just a VFX thing. I'd never noticed this, but you know, so some planes, their wings fold in and out depending on what speed they're going. And in real life, I'm not sure how that calculation works in Broken Arrow. And basically, I guess the VFX for the effects on the wings were in the wrong place. Fixed some autocannon's angles which didn't have enough depression and couldn't shoot at small targets at very short range. So I think this was discussed in the patch preview, or it might have also been fixed in the last patch. But essentially, if I've got to expand our little drawing here. So there's lots of cases where you've got your T15 Barbaris because you're such a cool player. You're very, very skilled, and I'm obviously exaggerating this a little bit. And basically, it can't aim down enough to shoot the little gremlin Ranger Mors squad that's here. Barbaris not to scale, right? So it can't actually shoot far down enough to stop the infantry with his little pea shooter desperately trying to kill your tank, which is completely broken. So he was happy, and now he will be sad because now it can aim down far enough and just mess him up. So yeah, vehicles apparently not strong enough. We need to make them stronger. Fixed vehicles not turning their chassis towards the threat when using some of their weapons, even if the vehicle didn't need the help of the chassis to reach its target. Yeah, so basically if you have... So imagine the same situation from the top down, right? So this is the turret. So if you have an enemy guy here, let's say, well, okay, let's just draw him here, and he's got his, his little pea shooter Ranger Mors or whatever. Pew pew pew. This is exactly what a Mors looks like. A Carl Gustav. That's exactly what it looks like. So before he would be happy because the tank wouldn't automatically turn, because the turret would turn, but the chassis might not turn. So he was getting side hits. But now the turret turns as well because vehicles weren't strong enough already, and so now the infantry can have an even worse day than previously thought possible. So that's great. Mission editor note: on unit refunded got a new pin for the amount of refunded supply, so that's something to do with the level editor. Fixed highways of death map not working for multiplayer custom matches. Okay, so apparently you couldn't play this map in a custom match. Campaign fixes. Big wave mission, fixed gold mission being impossible to achieve, gold medal being impossible to achieve. So there's like lots of secondary objectives and stuff. And the campaign's super buggy, so a lot of them just didn't work properly. There was a lot of primary objectives didn't work properly as well, but I think they got most of those now, and now it's just the secondary ones. So big wave, airbase heist, heavy rain, fiddler's green, and self-service mission have all had some fixes. The amount of supplies refunded is counted instead of the player's money to win the mission. Okay. Balance. General. Active protection systems cooldown increased from 5 to 6 seconds. Reloadable RPGs can shoot again before the end of the cooldown if the unit's not stressed. Yeah, so basically, APS in this game is completely busted, and apparently the fix is to make it very, very slightly take longer to cool down. Basically, the APS has a 100% interception chance. The thing is that you can overwhelm it by shooting lots at once. The issue with that is it takes like all of your rockets to kill a vehicle, and if a couple get intercepted, then you can't kill it, whereas the vehicle's got more than enough ammo to kill your infantry. And the APS before, so there's two types of rocket launchers, reloadable ones and disposable ones. So something like an AT-4, or I think it's an RPG-30, they, in real life, right, they just shoot it and then they throw it away because there's no point in keeping it. Whereas something like an RPG-7, sorry, some of you won't be familiar with these, so I'll just show you. So this is an AT-4, right, it's just a big tube, you shoot it and then you throw away the tube because there's no point carrying it around anymore, right? RPG-30 is like one of the Russian equivalents, it's basically the same thing, right? So you shoot it and then you toss it, whereas an RPG-7 is the one that, you'll recognize it immediately because it was one of the first ones, very prolific. So you've got the warhead and the launcher. So the idea is that it's less heavy to carry loads of stuff, so you can carry more ammo, and it's cheaper as well because you don't have to keep replacing the whole thing. But the idea is the rocket launcher shoots the rocket and then you reload the launcher as opposed to just tossing it. I suppose you could theoretically run around with 7 of these or whatever, but there's no point. It's just you just run around with the warheads and then you can carry more ammo and whatnot. And basically, in-game, this has a longer reload time than the disposable one, because the disposable one, you're not actually technically reloading it, you're just shooting it and chucking it. And before this change, this would never penetrate the APS, because by the time it's reloaded, the APS has... of course, like many of these squads would carry 2, so some of them would still get through. It's just now more of them will get through. But for the disposable one, I guess I guess you'll see some change because it is taking longer for the APS cooldown. But it's just kind of dumb that infantry carries so little infantry anti-tank, whereas armor active protection system has 100% success rate. The actual shots can miss, like as in the infantry can miss, doesn't have enough ammo, whereas the APS never misses and gets a lot of ammo, has a lot of armor generally, so it's very hard to kill. So this is a very small change. I wish they'd gone further, but they really want to keep vehicles as the top dog, I guess. Incendiary munitions penetration value reduced from 20 to 15, resulting in slightly less damage against infantry, but much less damage against armoured vehicles with 20 plus top armour. Yeah, so that's fair enough. I mean, the napalm in this game isn't as bad as the napalm in Warno, where you shoot it and it just kills the strongest tank in the game faster than it kills infantry, but or as fast as it kills the infantry. But yeah, it was still a little bit too powerful against vehicles, I suppose. So now the vehicles get even better. So vehicles get better, vehicles get better, vehicles get slightly worse, vehicles get better. Oh dear, yeah, bro. We're addressing the balance concerns. Some of you are still buying infantry. Time to fix that. Fast cargo planes agility increase. Okay, so I guess they turn better now. Frankly, these are just such a meme. The whole airborne drop thing, because generally you can only drop light vehicles or infantry, and infantry just isn't that useful. You still need it. It's just not that useful compared to just heavy vehicles. This which can't be dropped. These things just aren't used very much. And also, if you drive the vehicle in, it doesn't get blown up in the sky, whereas this, obviously, you can lose a lot of points very quickly, so it tends to be that nobody really uses these at the higher level. So it's nice for them to get a little buff. Helicopter-launched seed missiles are fired in quicker succession, so these are I think the Marine Super Cobra or the Marine Viper has anti-radar missiles on it, and I think one of the Russian ones does as well, and so that's cool, I guess. Low altitude bombs arming distance increased. Oh, what? Changing a position of the strike too close to the target will result in the plane having to turn around to make a new approach. Well, that already happens. Okay, so vehicles get even stronger because the bombers used to kill them have gotten weaker. Laser range for vehicles increased from 2,400 to 3,000 meters. Vehicles get even stronger. Frankly, the lasers on vehicles were kind of pointless because, you would just reveal your position and die, so it just tended to be easier to use it on a sniper, so this is a change I agree with. This one is basically the main way to take out armored blobs is you get a low altitude cluster plane, and you just whack them with that. Cluster plane usually dies, but because it's coming in from low altitude, it doesn't get shot before it drops the bombs off in most cases. And so you can kill the enemy stuff, and you would mix in cluster and incendiary. You would mix in cluster and incendiary because the cluster would get the health down to less than 1% because of that stupid one-shot kill prevention they've got in this game. And then the incendiary would just finish them off. So now the incendiary's worse at finishing them off, and the cluster's worse at shooting because apparently if you do an alteration, it'll turn around in a big circle, which it already does most of the time, or a lot of the time. So this makes it even harder to do that. So vehicles get stronger, vehicles get stronger, vehicles get a little bit weaker, vehicles get stronger, vehicles get stronger, vehicles get stronger. Why is this game so popular? Mapped. Kaliningrad multiplayer layout modified to add a second spawn location for ground units. Okay, so this map was obviously, this is my least favorite map, and all of the spawns start in the same place. Or at least they did. And so at the start of the game, you could get spawn nukes and stuff like that. You could spawn camp people. It was really dumb, and so it's nice that they fixed that. Coastal troops. BTR 90 number. So coastal is seen as quite a weak thing by many people. I thought coastal motorized was actually quite a strong combination, but apparently coastal's getting buffed. I currently speak to the top one Broken Arrow player, because it's me, right? But and he says Coastal's fine, and I thought Coastal was fine as well, so that's interesting. I mean, I play Coastal, so great. BTR 90 number of seats increased from 6 to 7. So what is the BTR 90 number of seats? Crew 7. Okay, so it was just wrong, I guess. BTR 90 back to you turret upgrades has gone from 20 to 15, so I can't remember which one this was. Suppose we could just open the game. Okay, let's just open the game, and then we can check. Blimey, it's not even in my last 5 played. And now I've got to update it because of the update, right? So, okay, maybe we'll just circle back to that. K-52K helicopter aim time with the cruise missiles increased by 3 seconds, and the time between missiles increased by 1 second. So this is actually a nerf. The main advantage of Coastal was that you could get Ka-52 like cruise missiles, helicopter launch cruise missiles, and now they aim slower and they fire slower. But the thing is that these, like, I feel like they were just impossible to intercept. I'm not sure if they actually technically were impossible to intercept, but the trajectory it takes is really low to the ground, so it tends to be that things just can't intercept it. So they are strong. Iskander ballistic missiles resupply time reduced from 60 to 45 seconds. Okay, because yeah, these have the exact opposite problem. They shoot right up in the air and they always get shot down. So that's a bit dumb. BDRM Quartet missile reserve increased from 8 to 12 missiles. So that's just a BDRM, which I'll show you the chassis, with a bunch of rockets on the top, right? And so now it carries more rockets. Still waiting on that. Okay, so that's sorted. And we'll show the BTR 90 Tochka U turret or whatever. A22 Beric direct fire range increased. Okay, so that's the direct fire. Interesting. So this one got nerfed in the last patch, and now they've buffed it. So it used to have more indirect fire range if you selected because you can select just shoot at ground, just shoot at air, or shoot at both. And if you selected shoot at both, it would have more range against ground targets. And they changed that in the last patch. Right, so what was the thing we wanted to see? BTR 90 back KU armory. BTR 90, right? And then so this one, okay, so this is the one nobody picks. So this is just 100mm guns. That's the one off like the BMP3 in Warno, and 30mm gun apparently, because there's 2 of them. Because yeah, most people take this because they want the Cornet. And I think most people will continue to take this because they will continue to want the Cornet. Having said that, this actually does fire ATGMs. And this also fires ATGMs. The thing is, I'm pretty sure this like fires 2 at once. Or it fires 2 very quickly to bypass APS, whereas this will be firing 1 at once. It has to reload this thing. And so I think APS will still stop it. And this is like anti-infantry round, and this is an ATGM. So yeah, we'll see if that's worth it for people. It's interesting that it's gone up to 7. I'm trying to think about like what. It's like these guys are 10, right? But I'm pretty sure. So these guys are 8. So 8. This is 4. So now it can fit 2 AGS squads in it. You know, 2 Stinger squads, 2 Igla squads. Sorry. 2 Cornet squads can fit in 1 BTR 90. No, hang on, because they said it went up to 7, not 8. Okay, so they still can't do that, my bad. This is 8, this is 8, 4, 4, 8, 8. So what has it changed exactly? Like, what? These guys are 7. So now you can have Cherny Beretti in the BTR 90. You can have Gorno Strelky in the BTR 90. You can have... Okay, so it helps Coastal, because all of these guys are like... Well, these 3 are 7. 5, 4, okay. This is 4, 6. So yeah, you can now bring your very underperforming naval infantry in the BTR 90, hooray. And yeah, the back KU I think is still going to be less popular than the Cornet. But it is cheaper because apparently the Cornet was the same price before. Yeah, and then the Berig got a slight buff, and it got nerfed last time. Motorized Infantry for Russians, SU-24M2 now has a unique label icon to differentiate it from the SU-24MP. Yeah, so that was kind of weird. Let's have a look at that new icon. Where are you? Motorized infantry. Yeah, okay, yeah, because these just used to look the same. And so it was really hard to tell what was going on. Obviously, they in real life, they do kind of look the same. I think, why they are literally the same. I think one's obviously some sort of improvement over the other, or like one of them is the bomber and one of them is the... Well, I don't know, really. Obviously, some boffin in the comments will tell me. From the model, they look very similar, but they carry different loadouts, which is why it's important to be able to differentiate them, especially when one of them's flying towards you. Because, like, one of these is the low-altitude cluster one. Yeah. So this is the low-altitude cluster one, and then this is, like, the one nobody brings. So, well, this is the seed one, basically. Because, yeah, you carry 3 seed missiles with it, and then this is your low-altitude cluster. So that's very, very useful for the enemy, basically. So this is a nerf to Motorized, because now the enemy can tell what is flying towards him, if it's seed or a low-altitude cluster bomber. Grad with smoke rocket price reduced from 150 to 100. Yeah, so there's a game on my channel where me and Royce are experimenting with this, and it does kind of work. It's just a big opportunity cost to bring it, because then you're not bringing it something else. But yeah, if you want smoke, it's going to cost you 100 instead of 150 now. Grad with incendiary has gone up to 250, so this is the one everybody brings, because the incendiary rocket... So incendiary has been nerfed, in that they fixed some desync thing, and it's less good against armor, and it's also less good against infantry, but only slightly, and they've increased the price, so this was clearly overperforming. I did think it was really dumb, so I agree with that change. Because, yeah, this was absolutely AIDS. People would just put it on the line thing and just saturate the whole middle of a map with fire, and then you just couldn't do anything. It was really dumb. And then we've got... Grad incendiary missile damage has also been reduced from 10 to 8. And, okay, so this thing has been absolutely nailed to the cross. It's been nerfed 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, because they just changed incendiaries in general. Yeah. And there was something about the fact that it was desyncing. That's been fixed, which does nerf the unit, because now people can actually see where the fire is and stuff like that. So it's been nerfed 5 times over. Okay. Grad dispersion doesn't reduce as much when... So 6th nerf doesn't reduces as much when shooting at short distance. English publisher, by the way. So that's the 6th nerf. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up here there's 2 more, right? 5, and then the thing about the desyncs, 6. So 6 nerfs for the Napalm Grad. Spetsnaz grew with AT has been nerfed. This was one of the few ways that you could actually kill vehicles with infantry, so I would run this. And now it costs even more to get 6 rockets, a bunch of which get intercepted by APS, and then the other ones like miss or whatever. You need 2 of these squads to kill 1 Barbarous, basically, and you have to drop on him. All he has to do is run away. So yeah, they've nerfed the infantry again, so vehicles get stronger again. Vehicles get stronger again. This obviously makes vehicles stronger because now they know what's coming towards them. Loads of buffs for vehicles, loads of buffs for vehicles. This is the one nerf that we've seen so far for vehicles, so... Great. What a joke. Su-25T can now guide 2 Vickers missiles per target at up to 2 targets, so up to 4 missiles. Okay. So, So yeah, I mean, this basically, I tried using this and it didn't work very well, and I couldn't really understand why it wasn't working very well, so I guess that explains it. So if you want to kill tanks, you can try the Vickers again, and maybe it'll, you know, fire more missiles and it might actually kill something. because the APS is going to intercept the first one, so the fact that it's doing 2 at once is very, very useful. MiG-29 SMT R60 missiles, price reduced from R35 to 30, so from what I remember, this is, yeah, which one is it? R60. Which one's the R60? Okay, yeah, so they're the ones like nobody was bringing. So this is a separate, this is the less good fire and forget infrared missile. So I'm trying to, so I pinned that, and now I'm gonna, okay, great. So if you look at R60 compared to R73, so the R60 has less damage and less penetration. Resupplies with less cost, I suppose. But yeah, less damage, less penetration is obviously very important. So now it costs a little bit less, because before I think they cost the same. Because, yeah, it was 35 to 30. Yeah, so it used to just cost the same to get the worst missile. So now it costs slightly less, which is nice. Guard tanks. Wow, Barbarous finally got nerfed. I don't believe it. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Wow. Balance admitting they made a mistake? Could never be me. Barbarous 30mm and 57mm variants price increased from 225 to 290 and 250 to 300. So yeah, they were absurdly underpriced, and everybody knew it apart from the people using the Barbarous. And this is the second time it's been nerfed. The first time was, from the beta to the full release, it got a big price increase. And the balance guy said, it's because newer players don't know how to deal with it. So he didn't admit that it was underpriced, he just said everybody's noob, so I have to change the game for these noobs, basically. And so yeah, now it costs more, so... Barbarous 30mm, 225 to 290. I mean, this says 250, so I'm not sure what's going on there. What? Oh, no, I see. The 30mm was 225. Okay, I've got this all wrong. My apologies. And the 57mm was 290. But now why'd they write it that way round? Anyway, the 30mm is now 250, and the 57mm is now 300. So it's a 10-point increase and a 25-point increase. So it's not as significant as I thought, because I thought it was a 25-point increase and a 10-point increase, which it actually is. No, hang on. I thought it was a 65-point increase and a 50-point increase, but actually it's a 25-point increase and a 10-point increase. Okay, well, at least it's a nerf to the Barbarous. Not as big as I'd hoped, but we'll see if that's sufficient. Like I said, this is the second time it's been nerfed, and the first time he just said it's because noobs don't know how to deal with it. It's a really good excuse. My balance is perfect. You're all just bad. Sorry, guys. Anyway, 25-point increase, 10-point increase. Yeah, so basically the meta used to be in the beta to spam the 57mm, and then after they both got nerfed, this one got nerfed more, so the meta became to spam the 30mm variant. And now both have been, and that's why the 30mm one has been nerfed by 25, and this one's only been nerfed by 10, because this one got nerfed more last time. Whereas this one was more popular this time, so that makes sense. These guys have gone up again? Okay. Or was that from the... Because they basically released a preview of the update, and that might be what this is from. But I could have sworn they were like 60 before. Now they're 75. So I don't really think they're that amazing. It's nerfing all the infantry all the time. In January Sturmoviki. It's like 8 guys, and if you run them up to people, you can kill them, basically. But now, I mean, you might as well just get the SSOs, who are also 8 guys, and they also have flashbangs, and these guys are like special forces, which used to mean something, but I'm not sure it does anymore, because now because special forces used to sprint twice as fast. Their sprint cooldown used to be 30 seconds instead of 60, something like that. And now all infantry from the last patch, 1.08, all infantry now, as you see, look, it says 30-second cooldown, 30-second cooldown, cooldown 5 seconds, cooldown 5 seconds. So for 10 points more, you can get the SSO, which are just better, basically, because they have the thermobaric launcher, which is obviously very, very, very useful if you're trying to kill infantry. So at this point... Oh, well, the issue, of course, is that in January, Sturmoviki only come on, like, the Guards Tank Brigade, something like that. Whereas, whereas SSO come on Motorised. So you're probably still going to be bringing these in your Barbarous. It's just, obviously, this is more and the Barbarous is more now. Chrysanthema upgrade price. What the hell is that? Oh, it's this thing. So I actually just never used to use this. It's been increased by 5 points. So I never used to use this one because the other one is better. Let me show you the other one. So essentially, because this will fire 2, and then it'll reload, and so the APS will stop the first one, and the second one, admittedly, will do a lot of damage because this is a very nice missile. The thing is that the other one... Where the hell is it? Oh, I suppose that this is the one for the Guard Tank Brigade, so sometimes you don't have the choice. But the other one, because I'm playing like Guard VDV, I think, and the robot I prefer because... No, it's not the robot. It's the Cornet D1. There we go. So it costs more for a reason, and the reason is that it fires like a bunch of Cornets at once, because it's got 2 launchers, and each of the launchers carries... Look, you can't see it because this is in the way, but do you see how that's got 4 tubes, and there's 2 launchers? The other one will pop up in a second, maybe. Or at least it should. And so this will fire lots of Cornets at once. Basically fires like a salvo of 4. And so the APS intercepts the first one, and then the next 3 do some serious damage. And so I think it's a lot better than the Chrysanthema, which is, admittedly, much cheaper. So, and also they're on different specs, so you have to play VDV if you want this one, and you have to play Guard Tank if you want this one. It's a shame that that's not written on the actual icon. It would be cool if it said somewhere, you know, just a little emblem next to the name to say what spec it's in. It does make, or you could even put it down here. This space is unused, right? Would be useful. We've already spoken about in January Sturmoviki. That's not how it's said, but that's how they've spelt it. So, and then the Coatzia. So that's the Acacia upgrade, I think, or like the Acacia replacement. Yeah, so this is like the Super Acacia. I suppose this is based off like the Mister chassis, maybe? I don't know, somebody can tell me. Looks more like a Mister than an Acacia, never mind. Anyway, the price is increased to 225, okay. And the extended range is also increased. So that's a shame, because generally America has much better artillery with longer ranges. Like, the Iron Thunders are absurd. So yeah, this will now cost 10 points more, because you always get it with the extended range, because like, why wouldn't you? And even with this, it will shoot less far than an Iron Thunder. So, which costs less and shoots further. Why? Why is that like that? I'm trying to figure it out. Reverse is faster. It's got less armor, I suppose, less top armor. Doesn't really matter. What matters is how far these rounds go. The issue with the Iron Thunder is it can't smoke. Hang on, the Krasnopol rounds. Yeah, even the Krasnopol rounds have less range than the this thing. And the blast radius is identical, even though this is a smaller caliber. Pen's identical. Ignore cover and whatnot. Dispersion. So this has less dispersion. Oh, but that's because it isn't going as far. So actually the dispersion is probably the same, at the same distance. Yeah, so... Like... The Iron Thunder's just way better, so why are you nerfing the Russian one? I suppose it's the smoke, but like... You get mortars for smoke anyway, so... You wouldn't really want to use this for smoke if you can avoid it. And this does shoot a little bit faster. 5 to 6 seconds reload, whereas this is 4 to 5 seconds reload, so it does shoot a bit faster. In terms of, like, you know, the salvo is completed faster. But it doesn't go as far. The range is the main thing, really, in my opinion. It does carry more ammo, I suppose. But these are the you know, this is the guided shell, this is the guided shell, this carries twice as many guided shells. And I suppose this has smoke. It's kind of weird that the Paladin doesn't have smoke, but I'm looking at it and I don't see any smoke launchers, at least not on the model. Who knows if they have them in real life. But yeah, it's weird to me that that is the case, that the worst one costs more, and they've nerfed the worst one. And the burrito, the TOS 1A burrito, price has increased from 200 to 250 and from 225 to 300, so that's a shame. This is actually quite a rare pick. The idea is that you wouldn't bother with this, you would just bring that napalm grad thing, which I suppose is on motorized infantry, so you don't always have access to it, but the napalm grad is just better than this at burning people and whatnot. And so now this is to... Wait, hang on, this time he's done it the other way around. What? Increased from 200 to 225 for the TOS 1. So that... But this says 250. Whereas it's actually 225. Has he included the reactive armor price? These patch notes are all over the place, man. It's a good job you've got me to read them out for you. I'd like to take the time to thank the generous channel joiners generously joining the channel. They get their names on the screen, they get the videos early, they get members exclusive videos. One join at the lowest level is worth 2,000 views, so if you're feeling bad about your ad block, it's a great way to support the channel. Alternatively, please like the video, right? If you want, as you can probably tell, I'm getting a bit sick of Broken Arrow, especially with the way these patches are going. Just making infantry worse, making vehicles better, making infantry worse, killing all the things that kill vehicles. So yeah, if I don't get enough street cred, then I'm just going to stop making the videos, basically. Anyway, so it hasn't increased from 200 and 225 to 250 to 300. It's increased to 225 and 300. So I mean that's a shame, really, because I didn't think this one was that good to begin with. But there it is. Nerf all the Russian artillery, even though the American artillery is better. And then we've got Special Operations Forces, which hasn't been indented properly, so this is now the Americans. AC 130 availability reduced from 2 to 1. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. So there was a big... So the reason this game got review bombed, this score ignores the review bomb, right? So it's actually still below 50% recently, ignoring the review bomb. If you include the review bomb, it's like 30%. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, as you can see, they've wiped out 2,799 negative reviews and 1,304 positive reviews. So that's a net, 1,395, something like that. 1,495 reviews have just been excluded from the score. You can change it here, but people just do the default, right? Overwhelmingly. Anyway, even without this, it's still below 50%. And the reason this happened, which I also have a video on, which is, I suppose the best one to watch is the most recent one, so Chinese review bomb. Yeah, so it'll be this one, Broken Arrow capitulates to Chinese review bomb. I'll link that in the description as well. It is very entertaining, frankly. There was a Chinese team that would just spawn 2 of these each at the start, and then a bunch of like ASFs, air superiority fighters, seedplanes, and they went up against a top Russian-Ukrainian team, and they beat them in 5 minutes, and then the Chinese team all got banned. And the Russian-speaking Ukrainian guy maintains that, oh, it was nothing to do with me, I just reported them the normal way. You can believe that if you're an idiot. I assume that a developer was probably watching his live stream, because he's like the most popular Broken Arrow streamer. Or something like that, or he just had a word with them. Anyway, the Chinese team got banned immediately after that game, and it turns out they hadn't actually cheated. There's a lot of cheaters, and a lot of the cheaters are Chinese, but in this case, those guys weren't cheating. They got banned for beating a top player, and that's why this review bomb happened. Because everybody, obviously, they mobilized they summoned the Horde, right? Get rid of your languages and you can see, yeah, exactly. You just keep scrolling. It's weird. How come it's, just want it from that? Oh no, because it's excluding this. We'll get rid of that. There you go. Yeah, so you can just read this. So like Zetrox was the name of the streamer. Yeah, and yeah, this is pretty emblematic of the Chinese opinion of the situation. And that's yeah. So if you exclude these scores from the reviews, if you include these, oh, I'm not logged in on this. Okay, well whatever. It's not a big deal. Basically, this would drop by like at least another 10%. Once it goes below 40, it goes to, and it's still going down. Obviously, this new patch, things might get a bit better again. We'll see. But yeah, so they've nerfed the strat. It was a pretty dumb strat. Killer eggs have increased in price. Okay, well, I think that's very sensible. Per pylon. So, okay, so that's like, yeah, basically, killer eggs were really kind of dumb. So, this thing, you would just run one Stinger, one Hellfire, and then you would just spam them out for the whole game, and because of the one-shot kill prevention, if a Stinger hit it, you could just run away and repair, or an Iggler or whatever. And you can just deal with any threat, so the Stinger one's gone up by 5 points, and so obviously if you pick 2, that's a 10-point increase. Because, yeah, these things were pretty dumb, frankly. And, yeah, the Delta Force have gone up in price. This is so strange. Like, so before they're using, like, these dashes, now it's a greater than sign, so 110 is greater than... 100 is greater than 110. Let's just actually check it, because as we know, these aren't entirely correct. Okay, so that Delta Force have gone up in price. It's a shame, really. I mean, infantry nerfs, infantry nerfs, vehicle buffs, infantry nerfs. At least the Barbarous went up a little bit, but in general, they just really want infantry to be subservient to vehicles in this game. Which is obviously the opposite of Modern War, where the vehicle shows up and then 10 Guerrillian drones hit it, and then you're back to your infantry. Because, yeah, the vehicle gets hit by the drones. And, yeah, okay, so this has gone from 100 to 110, and the standoff price has gone from 120 to 110. Okay. So I used to prefer close quarters, because basically what you do is you can put one of these in the ACV. If you go Spec Ops Marine, pretty funny, the ACV has a 13-man seating, and so you would just upgrade this, and you would just drive it into people and unload the Delta Force on them and kill all the infantry. And now that's been increased in price, but now you can continue doing the other thing, which is this Fletcher thing, so you can hide the Delta Force somewhere, and the Fletcher's actually pretty cool. It's sort of like, how do I describe it? It's a rocket launcher. I mean, that's what it is, basically. It's a rocket launcher. It's got some penetration. It can basically shoot at everything, but it's very effective against infantry and light vehicles, essentially. It's got 8 rounds. I don't know. Wait, so there it is, the Fletcher. Pretty interesting piece of kit. The way it clips through your arms like that. And you can use laser guidance on it, which is kind of rare to do, because then, you know, these guys don't have a laser. But yeah, pretty decent piece of kit, the Fletcher. So this one got cheaper, and this one got more expensive. Alright. RQ-170 price increased. So is that the Bloody Sentinel? Yeah, this thing's so stupid. This is so frustrated to fight against. Basically, this can see the enemy AA, but the enemy AA can't see it. So the only way to counter it is to always have an ASF flying around. And the ASF, sorry, Air Superiority Fighter, because that's the only way you can spot it, because your AA can't see it, and then it sees the AA, and then the superior American artillery, which is now more superior because the Russian arty got nerfed in, like, several ways. The American artillery hits your AA, and then you're like, well, what? Because it got spotted by a drone that you can't see. So the only way to counter it is to always have a plane flying around, and the planes are a lot more expensive than the drone, you see. So yeah, the fact that this has gone up is great. I wish they would fix the fundamental problem with it, which is that the AA can't see it when it can see the AA. But I guess they don't want to do that. It's going to make it more expensive. Range of Moors went up, so this is one of the only squads in the game that can actually kill vehicles, so they had to nerf it. Vehicles must live. Vehicles must live. So basically the Moors is the upgraded one. The regular one doesn't really do anything. So vehicles must live. So this has to go up in price. And then Pararescue has gone up from 60 to 70. So Pararescue is a pretty good, like, jump into a building and kill all the infantry squad. Because it's like, 6 guys with flashbangs and shotguns. So you would just... So... I don't know if this is still... like, because some people use it with the Stinger. The issue is the Stinger doesn't really have enough rounds. For my taste. And so I just use it as a Pararescue. Drive it into the building, unload them, and kill everybody. It's sort of like the Delta Force CQC. So, I don't know if he's been watching my live streams or what, but that's basically just the way I've been constantly playing. I'll just unload infantry into a building and kill everybody, and then smoke the next building and run in and smoke them and smoke them and smoke them. It's the only way to fight the vehicle meta, really. You just got to smoke everything. And, like, this kills vehicles, so it had to get nerfed. This killed vehicles, so it has to get nerfed. And even then, they're still not very good at killing vehicles, so... Oh well. Rangers CQC loadout receives an additional law anti-infantry rocket launcher. So, Rangers are kind of not very popular, frankly. But yeah, now they have 6 of these instead of 5. Great, except this is HE, so it doesn't actually do anything to vehicles. So that's, yeah, so obviously vehicles have to be the strongest thing in the battlefield, so... we're going to help your anti-infantry capacity, but we're not going to help your anti-vehicle capacity. We're going to increase the price. Rangers RRC close quarters loadout price increased to 80 like the standoff loadout. So, okay, so now these cost the same. I'm not really sure why you would ever take the, and it's like they've got like, so 170 to 200, greater than sign, just $sign without the previous price. These dashes that don't work properly because they mean different things depending on which line they're on. Do they not proofread these? Anyway, so, yeah, I don't know anybody who was taking this, but apparently they were, and now they won't be, because the Moors is better, right, and they've just, I suppose it's only got 4 rounds, whereas this has 4, it'll fire faster, it's just, yeah, because usually this has more ammo, but I guess not. So I suppose the Moors is worse against vehicles, because look, they have the same pen, damage 8.5, 600, 8.5, same number of rounds, and this obviously fires faster, but this has been buffed in that the APS now... this will get another rocket off before the APS intercepts it. So, yeah, like, I wouldn't be bringing the close quarters one, because if you actually want to do close quarters stuff, well, you're not very good at that anyway, because you don't have flashbangs, you don't have shotguns. So, I don't understand why the price of that has gone up. Armoured Brigade. So the Iron Thunder did actually get nerfed. It's just still cheaper than the Russian equivalent, which is worse in every way. So that's back to what we were saying before. Patriot Pack 2 4 missiles upgrade price increased from 60 to 80. So that's going to break a lot of my decks, I think. But basically, if you want 4 missiles, it's going to cost you 80 more points. Which is a lot of points. That's a lot of points. Is this even the one anybody brings? Patriot. I suppose if you're running armoured, you don't have much of a choice, but this is, like, possibly the worst Patriot, because obviously the Pack 3 has more missiles. So you can pay 200 for 4 missiles, or you can pay 200 for 8 missiles. These don't go as far, though, so... But, yeah, I would rather have the 8 missiles, frankly. Weird. AMPV Javelin. So a lot of people have been talking about this AMPV. Hippie, you got to try the AMPV. So it's basically a turretless Bradley, and for the price, it was kind of cheap that you could just like basically add a turret to it. And the price of that has gone up by 5, and the armor upgrade has gone up by 5, and the APS has gone up by 5. So it's been triple nerfed. Because, this is now... Well, hang on, what does it mean by... Iron Fist AP, so 40 to 45. Okay, so it's actually been double nerfed because this has gone up by 5, but this is, you can't do both at once. I assumed it, because of the way it's worded, I assumed it meant that this has gone up by an additional 5, but anyway, this is obviously a lot more expensive now. And yeah, people were saying it was too strong before, because it was just like a better Bradley for less money, so, or it was like the same as a Bradley for less money. So that's gone up. Double if not triple nerf. And then the ATACMS ballistic missiles resupply time has been reduced. So yeah, ballistic missiles are just kind of dumb because they always get intercepted. And so nobody was bringing this really. And now it will resupply in 3/4 of a minute instead of a minute, because yeah, the cluster one's just kind of better because this can't be intercepted. That's weird. I could have sworn it was... Is it the GMLRS that I'm thinking of? Yeah, so this obviously is the one everybody brings. So, and they're on the same spec. So, I mean, people can bring this if they want. It's just, it's going to get intercepted. And there's still no point. You might as well just bring the cluster warheads on this one. So it goes further, 6,000 meters, right? It's 5,300. It's not laser guided. The laser guidance is what kills things. So, yeah, somebody might use that now, or whichever moron was using that will now be punished less for his stupidity. Stryker Cavalry Regiment. Oh, okay, so this got a big buff, actually. All Stryker variants. APS upgrade doesn't reduce the speed further compared to the ERA upgrade. Yeah, so this was like a really weird thing in the game. So if you look at... the boomerang, boomerang, 100, 100, 100, 100. So you're adding all this armor to it, and it's just staying the same speed. Whereas the Stryker would go from, which one do we want? I suppose this one. So it would go from 100 to 90, and then this would make it go to 80. Even though this only has 2 charges, and the other one has 4. So now these aren't as slow. So that's a nice change actually, especially given that APS has just been nerfed. It doesn't make sense to slow it down really. But yeah, it's weird to me that when you add armor to this it slows down, but when you add armor to the boomerang it slows. So this would go to 80 and it became basically just not a fast wheeled vehicle anymore. It just became slow and useless. Well, not useless, but anyway. So Strykers will be a little bit faster now, basically. Stryker ATGM active protection upgrade price has increased. So that's this one, which is less popular. But yeah, I do also bring that. Like, you sort of have to bring that if you're playing as Strykers. Very useful piece of kit. But hey, so it costs more, but it doesn't slow them down as much now. And obviously you can't move while you're shooting, but you can get into position faster now, so it's 5 points more expensive. Then the Stryker RV Bushmaster Javelin upgrade price has increased from 50 to 55, so that is this one. So that costs more now. Ouch. That's a damn shame. But it's slightly faster, so... M985 battleship gets 2 extra bunker buster tow missiles per launcher, so that is the this one. So this now has... This has 2 extra. Okay, so it's gone up from 0 to 2. Basically, this is an anti-infantry one. And this is the anti-vehicle one. So yeah, this is obviously better against infantry now. Whether or not you can... Because like, now you can have 4 of these, wow. But obviously 2 shoot behind and 2 shoot in front. So yeah, it's better at shooting people, I guess. Essentially the reason... Well, actually, why would anybody bring this? I saw people like buying a bunch of them right at the end of a game to try and get into a point at the end. Just generally, it's very not armoured, and so it fires and then it gets blown up. Doesn't appear particularly... Yeah, the stealth is 1, so it's not stealthy, it's not armoured. Yeah, what can I say? US combat engineers now have their own unique icon. Okay, so I think the combat engineers used to have the same icon as the mech engineers, and now they've got their own. What's the difference? Combat engineers are obviously better, but they cost more. So 80 points, and they're good against infantry, shotguns and whatnot. Okay. Airborne. Almost there, guys. Airborne squads with standard loadout now carried extra AT-4 launchers. So this is sort of what I've been calling for a long time. It's basically they should just increase the amount of AT that all of these AT squads carry. So yeah, the standard one now is 5 AT instead of 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so that must be dynamic or whatever. It's just update itself. And then next generation weapons has the more, which has 6 rounds. So because like this is 450mm explosive pen and this is 600, so most people were just bringing this anyway. And it's worth noting that the damage of the new weapons is actually higher. So this is 1.2 damage, whereas this is 1. Oh, it's got less range. That's weird. I could have sworn they had more damage, but no, it actually has less damage. Despite being a higher caliber. 6.8 versus 5.56 deals less damage, apparently. I don't know if damage scales with range, and so at the same range they're doing the same damage, but I always thought the newer weapons did more damage. It's like 1.5 on this 6.8, 2.25 on the 5.56. What the hell is going on? So I've just not been reading it properly. Damage 4. Damage 4. So like this is better because obviously it doesn't shoot as far, 400 meters, whereas this is 600. So I guess that's the difference. This shoots further, 600, 400. Yeah, so these guys don't shoot as far, so they're not as good. Is it worth paying 15 points for that? Generally, I find the Airborne Infantry to be really quite underwhelming. I think regular infantry just tends to be better, or you go Special Forces. The Airborne in general, it applies to Russians as well. It just strikes me as like a weird compromise that isn't particularly helpful. Airborne National Guard. Oh, this is exactly what we were just talking about. M7 rifles damage increased from 1.1 to 1.2. Well, as we just discussed, the M7 is worse than the M4. But this has more penetration, so I'm not sure how that works against infantry, because I don't think body armor is really modeled. Although, well, I suppose they do have armor. Apparently being next generation doesn't actually give you better body armor. B1B pitch rotation speed reduced to avoid suicide in its own nuclear bar. So I've never actually seen this happen, but yeah, when it drops the bomb, sometimes it does die. I just assumed it was dying to you know, the enemy, but I guess it used to be able to get hit by its own nuke. And apparently by reducing the rotation, it will now turn better away from the nuke. So who knows what the hell that's talking about? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Mechanised infantry, which they've sort of added on at the end here. BTO transport vehicle rate of fire with RPs. What? American, 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 Russian, and then at the end this other Russian one. Can they not take 10 minutes to just proofread this? It really is embarrassing. I appreciate that most of my audience can't read, and that's why you watch these videos, because you can't do it yourself, but otherwise, I mean, it just looks really sloppy. Like, there's just a gap here. It would take them like 5 minutes to just go through. Okay, there's lots of spelling mistakes and stuff. About 10 to 15 minutes to just go through and just fix everything. Very inconsistent, but whatever. BTO transport vehicle rate of fire with RPO thermobaric rockets increased. So, I didn't really see anybody using this, but essentially this can fire RPO thermobaric rockets at people. And now apparently this shoots slower. Does it say how long it takes to shoot? No. No, yeah, it does. Reload time, 15 to 20. But it doesn't say what it was before. And that might be once it's fired 4. So who knows, really. So that's it for the patch notes. I'm sorry it took an hour, but that's how long it takes to read everything and talk about it. So if you appreciated this video, please leave me a like. I'm getting very demoralized about the state of this game. They're nerfing all the anti-vehicle stuff. I mean, sure, the APS got increased by 1 second. That is nice, but all the anti-vehicle infantries had their price increase. Generally, infantry prices are going up again instead of down. And we only had one vehicle that actually got nerfed, which was the Barbarous. Everything else is the same price. So it strikes me that they just... And, like, the bombers are getting nerfed. It strikes me that they just want this game to just be blob vehicles down road, blob vehicles down road, blob vehicles down road. I mean, it literally is the Fortnite of strategy games, but... Oh well, I'm not the target audience, I guess. I'll see you in the next one. GG.